Morning, everybody. My colleagues join me. Great. I'm going to keep my remarks brief here this morning because it doesn't take very long to tell you what every one of us already know. We've seen it with our own eyes. We feel it every time each of us checks our bank accounts to pay the bills, and we hear it in our local communities every day. America's farmers, ranchers, foresters, and working people are suffering in our country right now. There is an absolute affordability crisis in our country that affects family farmers and working families. Family farmers are going out of business because of Trump's ill-conceived trade wars. Working people are paying more every day at the grocery store, thanks to his across-the-board tariffs. And state governments are being confronted with the terrifying reality that they cannot fill the gap left by Republicans' $187 billion cut to SNAP food assistance, and they may have to drop out of the program altogether. Instead of keeping his promises to put America first, the president is focused on regime change in Venezuela, bailing out agriculture competitors like Argentina, and conquering Greenland. Yes, folks, that's where we are in America today. It is anything but America first. The Farm and Family Relief Act, a three-pronged piece of legislation, will help address the harm created by President Trump's broken promises and backward priorities. First, it provides additional one-time payments to family farmers being crushed by President Trump's worldwide trade war. Second, it helps ensure hungry Americans in our communities don't lose food assistance by delaying the unfunded cost shift to states and counties in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Last, it gets to the root of the pain being felt in farm country and every time hardworking people visit the grocery store by ending the president's tariffs. This should not be a partisan fight to ensure the people in the wealthiest country on earth can afford food. It should not be a red versus blue issue to look out for our family farmers who feed our communities and are caught in a trade war that they did not ask for. I call upon my Republican colleagues to work with us to provide this farmer and family relief package in an upcoming appropriations package. I want to thank my Agriculture Committee members for joining me here today and ask that a number of them also say a few words. We'll start with Congresswoman Andrea Salinas, who serves as ranking member of the Agriculture Subcommittee on Forestry and Horticulture. Ranking member.
Thank you. Thank you to our ranking member, Craig, for leading this effort to stand up for families and farmers in the face of these Republican attacks. We are in the middle of a Trump-inflicted affordability crisis. And I want to show how it's playing out in my community. Over the summer, Trump and congressional Republicans passed their big, ugly bill. And with it, they slashed funding for the 740,000 Oregonians who rely on SNAP to put food on the table. That includes nearly 100,000 veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, just in my district alone. At a time when costs are already going up, Republicans are tightening the screws on families who need help the most. If their benefits are reduced, or worst case, completely eliminated, they will be forced to skip meals, choose between groceries and rent, and turn to food banks that are already stretched far too thin. We're also seeing how Trump's policies are hurting our family farmers. My district is home to some of the best wine producers in the world. But Trump's tariffs and the response from our trading partners have driven up costs for supplies, restricted export markets, and created real economic pain for my growers. In my community and communities across the country, families and farmers are asking for relief, and this package delivers it. Our bill ends the chaos. It plans to invest $29 billion in family farmers, including the specialty crop growers in my district who have been ignored by this Trump administration. And it plans to invest $29 billion to protect SNAP so families can afford groceries and farmers can keep producing the food that feeds our families. It is time. Our communities and our farmers get the relief they deserve. Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Congresswoman Hayes.
Thank you. I won't belabor the point, but as the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Nutrition and Foreign Agriculture, I'm very excited to see that this legislation acknowledges the harm to both our farmers and our families. Oftentimes, we're tasked with coming to the aid of farmers with immediate relief, but we also have to support families. We saw in November during the government shutdown how fragile our food security system is and how many people rely on SNAP. So the fact that this legislation delays those cost sharing provisions and allows states to figure out how they are going to, for the first time, deal with SNAP as something that they have to fund from year to year. I'm very excited that this committee has taken the initiative not just to wait on Republicans to give us a framework, but to come out with something that says we need to support both our farmers and our families. We need to make sure that people are fed. There's always a rush to inject relief for our farmers, which we need to do, but that food is grown for a reason. It's grown to feed people. In America, no one should go to bed hungry. I have advocated for that my entire time in Congress, and I will continue to do that. And I'm very proud to be a part of this committee where all of the members understand what that means, not only in our congressional districts, but in every congressional district. We want to feed everyone in America, and this legislation aims to help us at least come up with a blueprint, absent a farm bill, absent any legislation from our Republican colleagues about what this looks like, to say we are putting down a marker that we support both farmers and families. So thank you. And with that, I turn it over to Representative McDonald-Ribbit.
Thank you, Congresswoman Hayes and Ranking Member Craig. We're here today fighting for farmers and working families in mid-Michigan, which is where my district is, and across the country, who have taken hit after hit over the last year. When I first came to Congress, a whole year ago, costs were already unbearably high, and the margins for farmers in my district were razor thin. Destructive decisions by the majority and the administration have made things so much worse. Tariffs that have stolen from our soybean and corn farmers, cutting their markets in half while driving input costs through the roof. Then, the One Big Beautiful Bill cut $200 billion out of SNAP benefits, things that feed our hungry children and our seniors, and all of this to give tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy. I want to tell you about a farmer that was in my office just a few weeks ago, a sugar beet farmer. What he said to me was that he was seriously considering selling their generational family farm because the tariffs have caused input prices to go through the roof, and they could no longer financially make it. The administration had $20 billion to give to Argentina, yet our Bay City and Bay County farmers and his families have been left behind. It's time we make things right, because we're not going to stand while families that we represent get hit, and neither will my colleagues that are here with me today. Thank you, and I pass the podium to Congressman Gabe Vasquez.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'm very proud to represent New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District, a place where farming isn't just an industry, it's our way of life. Our farmers are incredibly tough, scrappy, and resilient, but even they are struggling to keep their farms afloat amidst this administration's chaotic tariff policy and deeply harmful cuts to food assistance. I've heard from our New Mexican producers loud and clear. They're hurting and they're frustrated. The Farm and Family Relief Act is our answer. We hear them, and we're answering their call with real support. This aid will help farming families stay on the land that they love, that they've worked on for centuries, providing specialty crop producers up to $900 million in support. That's a big deal for my specialty crop farmers back home, for our pecan farmers, our staple crop, our chili farmers, and onions, which make up a huge part of our economy in the Hatch and the Rincon Valleys in southern New Mexico. This bill will also help fix SNAP and restore Congress's role in trade. One of the stories I heard from one of my largest pecan farmers is that their largest exports were to China for the last decade. Since then, those exports have been cut off, and they've been struggling to not let pecans sit out in the field and rot as the U.S. government struggles to find new trade markets that still haven't been found to date. And so tariffs are going to continue to hurt farmers. And if we don't close this tariff gap, some of these businesses may go out of business. This is common sense support for our farmers, our families, and the rural backbone of our state. Thank you. And with that, I pass the mic to my colleague from California, Mr. Jim Costa.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and I'm honored to be with my colleagues here, our ranking member, Angie Craig, for a very important purpose, and this is the fact. Folks in farmland are suffering. They're hurting. That's the bottom line. And I say that as a third-generation family farmer in California. My grandparents came here, like a lot of other families, as immigrants trying to start a farm for their families, and they succeeded. And my dad and my uncle expanded that, and now we are in the third generation. As a 22-year member of the House Ag Committee, I am, with my colleagues, trying to work on a reauthorization of the Farm Bill. This is my Farm Bill, but I mean, while folks are hurting, I'm talking about farmers, ranchers, dairy men and women in farm country. I represent the heart of the San Joaquin Valley. That's in California, some of the most productive agricultural areas in the country and therefore the world. And we've gone through peaks and valleys before. But the actions of this administration have been reckless. And the inability for us to come together on what has traditionally been a bipartisan effort, the Farm Bill that we reauthorize every 5 years, has been elusive. And that's why we need to bring attention to this, because there are still things that we can do. This $12 billion in aid, the bridge that the administration calls it, would not have been necessary if they had not introduced last year some of these chaotic policies in a tariff war that, frankly, we've been through before. Trump won. And guess what? We've lost markets that Trump won that we still haven't gotten back now in his second term of office. And if it wasn't for these, hard-hit tariffs, because let's call tariffs for what they are. They're a tax on American consumers, and they are a tax on American agricultural productivity, farmers, ranchers, and dairymen and women. And guess what? The other countries have the ability to retaliate. And my colleague mentioned this fiasco of Argentina. I mean, my head was swiveling trying to figure out what kind of different policies they were trying to enact. And then talking about, well, this inflationary issue is just a Democratic hoax. Give me a break. American consumers go to the grocery store every day. They know what food costs. And so therefore, I want to commend our ranking member for putting together this package that we think reflects a democratic perspective on how we address these critical issues. Tariffs don't win trade wars, and taking food away from people does not put America first. And so therefore, when I give you my own personal snapshot, farmers and families in California's 21st district that I represent in Fresno and Tulare counties, 30% of the households are also rely on SNAP. It's an interesting dichotomy. Some of the most productive agriculture in the world, and yet the two congressional districts in the Valley have the highest recipients. And a lot of these are working poor, working in seasonal ag jobs. And so we've got to restore America's safety net. In California, it's a $61 billion a year industry at the farm gate. And the exports are about 40 to 46% of our annual agricultural productivity, bringing in $23 billion plus to our communities in California. So I join and thank my colleagues here who are part of this press conference. We're going to continue to work hard to try to restore the safety net to the American people who need food, richest country in the world, and to have people who are in food deserts and who are in need of a sound nutrition program, and the people that put food on America's dinner table, our farmers and our farm workers. It's an important partnership. So let me now turn to the Cav Oval. I'm getting, Angie and my colleagues are being very patient with me. I am passionate about this. third generation farmer, and we're representing the farm country, and that's what this press conference is all about. So Representative Brown, who is very passionate, as we all are, about this issue, will tell you about her thoughts and why she's here to support this effort on behalf of the Democrats in the House Ag Committee.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Congressman Costa, and thank you, Ranking Member Craig, for bringing us together today. Everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Congresswoman Chantel Brown, Vice Ranking Member on the Agriculture Committee and a representative of Northeast Ohio. I am proud to be here alongside so many leaders from our committee to support the Farm and Family Relief Act. This is a comprehensive package, a common sense package, a necessary package. But here's the truth. It should not have been necessary. Our farmers should have never been put in this position, because right now the American people need relief from our very own president and his chaotic policies. Reckless tariffs, lost markets, massive SNAP cuts, and billion-dollar bailouts for other countries. That hurts people in cities, suburbs, and rural America alike. And on the Ag Committee, we know that actually food connects all of us, which is why we used to, and emphasis on used to, have a Farm Bill coalition. A coalition between producers and consumers where all could benefit. And this relief package is a first step towards restoring that approach. We put a stop to the worst cuts to nutrition, and we help farmers get off the mat. While Trump is raising prices, shrinking markets, and increasing hunger, this bill sends a very clear message. Democrats have a common sense plan to support America's farmers and America's families. There is an alternative to Trump's broken policies and broken promises. And with that, I hand it back over to our ranking member, Congresswoman Craig.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vice Ranking Member. Thank you to my colleagues who are here today. And we'll now open it up to a few questions if anyone has any. Yes. Hey.
Grace from Politico.
Oh, we know you, Grace.
I wanted to ask, on the $29 billion in farm aid, how will you go about dividing that between row croppers, specialty crops, foresters, etc.?
Yeah, so obviously there are a number of existing programs already in place. They've been utilized for years to support farmers and producers. I'm thinking about, the MASC program in particular for specialty crops. And so we'll use essentially to make sure that everybody gets made 65% whole. But we can't cover the full losses of this administration. They have been too tremendous. And it's just a reminder that unlike our Republican colleagues who in that first tranche of farm relief, they picked winners and losers among the commodities groups. Big loser were specialty crops in our country, sugar beet growers in our country. We refuse to pick between winners and losers among farmers and families because both are incredibly important and both are hurting.
Let me just
Yes.
follow up on your comments, because food is, don't stay right
Yeah.
there. Food is a national security issue, as we
Yeah.
all share.
That's right.
And as the ranking member indicated, it's unfair, and we don't understand what the methodology they used in putting $12 billion out, which is just kind of a number to make up for the losses that they've created through their own policy, between specialty crops throughout the country, that, fruits and vegetables, healthy foods, and then the program crops. And so there's been no explanation on how they picked these winners and losers.
Well, and Representative Costa's right. That final $1 billion, we still don't know how that's going to be divvied out at this moment. Yes.
Thank you. Cmte from AgriPulse. I actually have two questions. First of all, do you have now or do you anticipate either at a state, local level or national level any of the ag groups to endorse your plan here?
We will be working on that very quickly. However, just think about this for just a moment. the National Governors Association, which of course is comprised of Republicans and Democratic governors across this country, just this last week, issued a letter to the administration saying they need more time for the cost shift. This is putting tremendous pressure on our state budgets, and in 10 states across the country, including mine in Minnesota, the burden is actually borne at the county level. So my counties have been issuing new levies, 10%, 15% property tax increases. So my Republican colleagues rail all the time about unfunded mandates to the states. This is exactly what this is an unfunded mandate. I would expect increasingly farm organizations in particular to call for more relief, and certainly we've talked to and expect support from many of the nutrition organizations who are very concerned about working families. So let us do that work. This is a framework that we're unveiling today. Clark, I think we're on track for introduction next week of the actual piece of legislation.
Thank you. If I could just
sorry.
ask a quick follow-up.
Sure.
Unrelated though, well, related, but with what's happening with immigration and ICE, are any of you seeing any new ag labor issues?
Well, yeah, I will definitely let Gabe speak. I will just say, since I represent Minnesota, that ICE is terrorizing our communities, including our farm communities. They are not just in the Twin Cities. They are everywhere. They are sitting outside of dairy farms. Last week, I got that text from a local farmer. And folks, even though they actually are citizens, they're brown, and they are refusing to come to work because they don't want to take the chance of being detained by ICE for hours on end. And we're seeing that with kids not showing up to school, with people not being willing to go to the grocery store, which again affects the ag economy and that ag trade supply chain. So it's a significant issue in my home state, and we'll let Mr. Vasquez answer that question as well.
Yes, southern New Mexico has long depended on agricultural farm workers through mostly Mexico. What we've seen is that even the H-2A program isn't functioning for folks back home because those H-2A workers don't want to come even under that legal program for fear of harassment and deportation. Now, 2 years ago, I brought an onion farmer, a Republican onion farmer from Gillis Farms, to the State of the Union because he was so interested in talking with other lawmakers about the problem that he was having with labor. Now, he had just secured a contract with Walmart for his Barker onions, and his workforce was down 3/4 that previous year. And he said, I don't know how I'm going to be able to secure this contract. It was an opportunity for him to grow his business, his family business, to a level that he'd never seen before. And he said, Gabe, I know you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, but we should be working together to solve this immigration issue. He said, otherwise, all these farms here in the Hatch Valley are going to start to go out of business. So there's tangible examples of that happening. If you look at the chili crop acreage alone in New Mexico, it's reduced by, 7,000 acres over the last 2 years. And that is because we cannot find the labor to be able to harvest chili, which is not a mechanized labor activity. And so we are seeing those impacts and those effects. It is terrifying. And it doesn't matter if you're a legal citizen or if you're on an H-2A visa program or perhaps you're undocumented and you're out there picking those onions. When Border Patrol comes, they're going to assume that everybody is undocumented. They will all get treated and harassed the same way. And so that discourages even legal residents from working those fields.
Let me just add to that, because it's a good question that you raised. I believe that the mass deportation strategy by this administration and the chaotic nature in which they've implemented these tariffs are a 1-2 punch to American agriculture. I, as I said, have been farming my family for 3 generations. I have never witnessed the level of fear among our communities that we've witnessed in the last year. It's as we know, food is a national security issue, And that partnership that I noted a bit ago between farm workers and between farmers is a critical partnership, because that's how food gets, on America's dinner table. It gets to the grocery store. And we have a lot of families that in the San Joaquin Valley, I'm sure New Mexico and elsewhere, where they live in what I say mixed households. What do I mean by that? You may have 5 or 6 people in a household, and 2 or 3 have legal status and 2 or 3 don't. But the fear of not only going to your job, the fear of going to school, the fear of going shopping permeates the communities throughout the San Joaquin Valley, and I know throughout the country. American agriculture should not be exposed in that way to this whims of an administration that really doesn't have an agriculture policy that I can understand. They're reforming the USDA, the Department of Agriculture. We've not had one hearing, and the Secretary of Agriculture has not one time come that I'm aware of in the last year to testify before the House Ag Committee and explain the justification for this reorganization. And important services with farm FSA offices that are not being manned, it makes no sense.
I just, in that question I was just in Anaheim, California on Sunday afternoon with the 4 corners of ag in the Senate and the House. And Chairman Thompson and Senator Bozeman identified farm labor as the most critical issue in ag. And the question that I asked there and I asked today, is this country acting like it wants immigrants in our nation? It's acting like, with its out-of-control Homeland Security and ICE, it wants to drive immigrants from our country. And so, I hope that my Republican colleagues will speak out and speak up to the Trump administration, because we're still looking for a few patriots in this country on the other side of the aisle, and I haven't been able to find very many this Congress. One more question that I know we have to wrap. Yes.
Hi, Caitlin King with Colorado Public Radio. Thanks for doing this. A couple of you have mentioned the Farm Bill and the lack of one. Where do negotiations stand, and do you see elements of this package being incorporated into a bill if one actually materializes sometime this Congress?
We see this as 2 separate efforts. Certainly farm and family relief in our introduction today is a necessity. Look, we should be, this Congress, negotiating a 5-year 12-title farm bill. We should not have $68 billion for farm programs in the One Big Beautiful Bill, a 1-year CR to extend the farm bill. But at the end of the day, where negotiations stand is we have been in very close conversation. We're expecting, from a committee perspective, to start to see text, we hope, title by title. But I continue to warn my Republican colleagues and my chairman that there are some very strong, what I would call poison pills, that they are still discussing, and I've been clear that it will be very difficult to get widespread Democratic support. And frankly, their own members are going to come under tremendous pressure from the Make America Healthy Again movement if preemption for pesticides is included in their farm bill. So it remains to be seen whether or not they heed our advice and put forward a clean farm bill program. We know rural development needs to be addressed. We know farm credit needs to be addressed. But I continue to warn my colleagues that a bipartisan farm bill means it's not full of a bunch of poison pills that will cause a lot of Democrats to vote against it. We expect, and GT is the ultimate optimist, so those of you who know him, I know him well now. He's indicating a markup the last week of February, I believe. Now there's some attendance issues on the Ag Committee with some, the unfortunate death of Mr. LaMalfa as well as Mr. Baird's health. So we'll see how that goes. But, I would expect late February, early March. But I wouldn't be surprised if the optimist timeline moves again either. All right, everybody, we're going to have to get out of here. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really good job.